Good afternoon, everybody. So I I just wanted to jump on and do just a short, or short-ish video, um, just to go through some of the things that I've learned this week. So, just in case you're wondering, no, I don't have my uh, my forward-facing camera on. We're having our boiler redone this week, and my race room is absolute chaos. I don't think you want to see all of the boxes that have been taken out of my loft. Right, what this video is about. So, in the last, or my first MFR championship race a couple of weeks ago, something became very, very apparent to me that on pace, I'm all right. I'm not last. That's, and I'm really, really happy about that. But what became very, very obvious is the fact that I have no experience racing with other human beings. I have no experience being around other cars that are potentially going to be unpredictable. And that's what got me into so much trouble during my first race. So, I made the decision that during the intervening weeks between race 1 at Zolder and race 2, which is tomorrow at Monza, I needed to get some practice driving against real human beings. So I have spent the week in public lobbies. Really, really scary. I've not overly enjoyed it that much, but I think I've learned quite a bit. So I just want to show you a couple of the races that I've had, and just show you some of the things that I have learned, and then hopefully join me for my race tomorrow evening, and we'll see if I can actually put any of these things in practice and see if this has actually paid off. So let's just jump straight into my first race that I want to show you, which is this one. So, we're just going to get the right view, and we're just going to skip ahead to the actual start. So, Monza is basically lots of big straights joined together by 3 really stupid chicanes, and the Lesmos in the middle. So, turn 1 in this track is always absolute carnage. I'm expecting it to be absolute carnage tomorrow. So, we're just going to take a look at lap 1, or turn 1 from this particular race. So, surprisingly enough, this race starts actually very, very clean. Really surprised at how clean this first turn is. I managed to stay out of trouble, brake nice and early, so that, I avoid hopefully running into anybody. A little bit of, bumping and grinding going on around me, but make it through. Great. Fantastic. So I'm thinking that everything's all good. And then, just as we come out of the next chicane, things start to go a little pear-shaped. So there's a couple of cars that have gone off, managed to make it through, and then this happens in front of me. So, at the time, in the car, it felt like there was nothing that I could do. So, let's just slow it down for you. I see that we've got 3 abreast ahead of me. One hits the other, Constantine's into the other car. I try to thread myself through this gap here, because I know this car is sparing off this way. This car, after just hitting this barrier here, is also going to come across this way. So I'm thinking, if I'm lucky, I can just thread the needle through here. Okay? And that's what I aim for. But this Merc doesn't move to the left quite as fast as I expect. So I end up hitting it. Kind of feel like there's nothing really you can do about it. Right? Wrong. So after showing this particular incident to hubby, which is Redline Zach from Redline Zach Racing, he pointed a few things out to me. So we're going to go back to the chicane in car and we're playing at half speed. So this is what I'm seeing at the time. See a little bit going on. I see, okay, 3 abreast. One hits the other. Right. Has anyone spotted what I've done wrong? I've been on throttle the whole time. Now, if this was a championship race or a league race, especially in SimGrid, even though I didn't cause any of this carnage in front of me, I would probably still get slapped with a penalty for this because I've seen all of this taking place in front of me. I've watched it unfold and I've not lifted off. I've kept my foot in, hoping that I can thread through, and I just haven't been able to. So, lesson number 1, as soon as you see something kicking off in front of you, lift off. Now, in the game, you always get yellow flags warning for stuff that's happening in front of you. Lap 1, stuff just happens too quick for the game to really keep up. So it is really down to you as the driver that when you see stuff going on in front of you like this, which ended up being quite a mess, yeah, not a good start. Really, really, really not a good start. But I'm just going to speed it up to 2 times. We've got cars falling off pretty much all over the place. The cars obviously a lot quicker than me. I'm nursing quite a lot of damage. So I can't remember whether I hit or not. But so yeah, I pit peril of the damage. And for the rest of the race, as you can see, lots of people ended up with lots of damage and pitted. So for the rest of the race, I actually stay out of trouble. The rest of this race is really, really quiet. When I come out of the pits, I come out into some free air. So I'm just going to fast forward to me coming out of the pits. I was in for quite a long time. Quite a lot of damage. Okay, so when I come out, I've got this lovely gap in front and behind. There are the occasional blue flags that I have to contend with. The rest of this race is, really quite simple. Get out of the way of blue flags, stay clean, stay on track, and by the end of the race, because nothing else happens, I'm just going to skip forward. I've made it up to P9. Simply staying clean, staying out of people's way, and this is people falling off around me. So another lesson I learned, keep your head clean. Even if things go horribly, horribly wrong in lap 1, don't worry about it. Stuff can continue to go wrong through the rest of the race for other drivers, and it can end up going, quite alright in the end. So I can't remember where I started on this race. I started at about mid-pack. I finished 9th. which, you know, is really not that bad going. You'll notice I am really marginal on fuel. This will be a theme coming up in the next race. So I finished P8. Not bad. Certainly not bad for my very first public lobby. So let's skip ahead to race 2, which was this one. Okay, so we're gonna skip ahead. So, with keeping with the theme of Monza, lap 1, turn 1, still, you know, quite chaotic, still lots of carnage. Now, I've learned my lesson from my last race, and let me just switch my HUD on. I'm completely off throttle. I'm even braking a little bit because I see all of this kicking off in front of me and I want to keep clean. Okay, so lesson learned. I was able to avoid most of it. Unfortunately, wasn't able to avoid all of this, but you'll notice what I'm doing here. This is something that Nath has been drilling into me quite a lot. If you do have an accident, you end up facing the wrong way or whatever, and you've got loads of cars around you, hold the brakes and just sit there. Pray to God nobody runs into you, but just sit and wait for it to be safe for you to turn around. Now, I make an absolute meal of trying to turn this car around. Something that I've been practicing, of spin recoveries, but I eventually get pointing in the right direction, and away we go. Now, luckily I don't have too much damage. The good news is, lots of cars are falling off around me as well. I was the only one to have a really bad first lap. So I'm P20. Not too bad. So this race kind of settles down for a minute, and just coming up, speed it up a little bit, and then I spot that this car has gone off. So he's quite a ways in ahead of me, so I don't lift, but I brake early and I let him come back on. I don't want to be fighting with him, even though I know this guy eventually has a drive-through penalty later on. Now, he's kind of all over the place anyway, so I do eventually pass him from his own mistake. There was no point in me defending this, so if we go back just a little bit, actually if we go in car, that way I think, no, wrong way. So if we go in car, in the mirror here, you see that this guy's coming up on me really, really quickly. Hardly even, you know, barely notice that he's coming up on me, to be honest, so there's really no point in fighting this. So I just let him go. And again, that's kind of it. I'd settle into a bit of a gap. Once this guy, this guy just so much quicker than me, pulls in quite a lot of space, and then the rest of this race is fairly uneventful again. So, skipping ahead to the last lap, it's been uneventful for me, but you can see it's been quite eventful for a lot of other cars around me. I've made it up to P9 simply from other cars falling off. So this is kind of a recurring theme for me. The only problem is, I've miscalculated my fuel quite badly. I don't have enough fuel to finish the race. I'm running on empty pretty much already. I'm trying to lift and coast, which is why this car ahead was able to overtake me so quickly. But, yeah. And the car dies. Run out of fuel. But, thankfully, when I pull over, the game very, very nicely takes me to the pit lane, and I do manage to finish P9. Really, really quite lucky. Really got away with that. So that was a great result, but something for me to really keep an eye on is making sure I actually put enough fuel in the car to begin with. Race 3. It's been a couple of days since my last public lobby race. And in this particular race, I joined the lobby with literally 30 seconds left in qualifying, so I automatically start at the back of the grid. Part of me is thinking that might be a good thing, because I might be able to avoid some of the carnage that goes into lap 1. At least that was the plan anyway. Once again, I make the mistake, see stuff kicking off ahead of me up here. I do see this accident happen, but unfortunately, because I'm so busy watching this car, I run into the back of the green car. Again, from the mistake of me not lifting off when I see problems happening ahead of me. Really, really not a good thing. And again, if this was a championship or league race, I would probably have gotten a penalty for running into the back of that particular, into the back of that car. So I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit to 4 minutes into the race. Okay, so we're just starting on to lap 2. Now, there's a car behind me, coming up fairly quick, which is why I'm weaving. I'm trying to get him out of the slipstream. I take my racing line. He tries to dive bomb me up the inside. Now, in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have been quite so aggressive at keeping my line when I turned in. So I'm just going to slow it down, and we're going to go in car. Okay. So, I know that he's right here. I'm trying to defend my line. I do turn in fairly early to try and force him to back out of it, but he didn't. He wasn't alongside, so technically that wouldn't have been my fault, but I probably shouldn't have been so aggressive on turning in as I was. So another thing learned. Pick which fights are actually worth fighting. Because I lost quite a bit of time here. Now, I'm just going to keep playing this. Because the car that I hit, he's so much quicker than me. This white Porsche. I just let him go. Again, because of what happened the turn before, I'm thinking, these guys are pretty aggressive. What's the point in defending if I'm gonna get hit? So, don't bother with it. Just let him go. Then the good part of the rest of this race is fairly clean. I'm going to skip ahead to about 9 minutes. speed it up a little bit. Because again, we've got another rejoin. So I've seen him happening. I've had the yellow flag warning in my ear. Just play it at regular speed. And I've lifted off, I've braked, but I've kept my inside line. And thankfully, he was fairly good at rejoining. So thankfully that didn't go too badly. I'm just going to skip ahead again. The rest of this is fairly uneventful. Last part of lap 7. So this car in front of me, Dubois, I've been catching him quite, taking lots and lots of lap time out of him. I'm considerably quicker. I finally caught up with him. Now, I tried to stay in his slipstream down the main straight, thinking, you know what, if I keep enough pace on him, I might be able to take the overtake into turn 1. So I pull out, but in the process of watching him, I haven't been watching my the turn-in boards, brake boards. We're already at the 100 meter. I'm still on the throttle. I haven't even started braking yet. This corner I normally brake at just before the 150, so I am miles beyond my braking zone because I've been paying too much attention to this guy. So there's no point in me even attempting to make this corner. I go through. Now, I'm a clean and, honorable person. So I wait. Now, I did get a track limits warning for doing this, but I wait for him to come back around. Keep going, and eventually try again. So we're going to speed up. I could have got on the throttle probably a lot sooner after he passed me, but I'm considerably quicker than him, so we do catch up fairly quickly. Okay, so still reeling him in. Just gonna speed up it just a little bit more. Okay. Nowhere near close enough. Don't even attempt to do a first turn overtake here. Okay, but now I'm back on him, and now the idea is I don't want to do anything stupid. I want to pressure him into doing something stupid, which he does, and I make a clean overtake. Probably one of my only clean overtakes that I manage in the public lobbies. And then the rest of this particular race, nice and clean. Managed to get my fuel right, so I'm finishing with 2 laps of fuel left. And we've made it up to 6th place. Not bad going. And I think I actually crossed the line. P5 in the end. Not too sure what happens in front of me to give me P5, because I'm currently a lap behind P5, but something happens, and I end up crossing the line in P5. Okay, so flicks up to P5. No idea what happened, how I got it. Somebody ahead of me possibly disconnected. and then my final race. So by this time, I've figured that, yeah, turn 1, lap 1 on Monza is always gonna be carnage. Fine, I get it. Starting to develop the theme here. So, this race, quite a big grid, it's 25 cars. I managed to quali P17. So, we're gonna skip ahead. Okay, and I'm starting to learn some of the lessons. Lifting off, not trying to force anything, lifting off nice and early, braking nice and early, and okay, I get rammed from behind, lots of argy-bargy, lots of pushing, rubbing. Because I'm lifting early, braking early, getting hit from behind is gonna be a big risk. That is the downside. If I'm braking a lot sooner than somebody expects, yeah, there's a really good chance that I'm gonna get hit up the backside. More rubbing. These particular guys are pretty aggressive. To be honest, this lobby was probably a little bit too advanced for me, but that's the thing with public lobbies, you just don't know. I'm carrying a fair amount of damage already, and this guy just really desperate to get past me. Probably didn't expect me to brake as early as I did, but that's me being hit up the backside twice now, quite hard. I've got quite a lot of damage now. Too much for me to actually manage. I just don't have the power. Really down on the straight, so I'm staying out of the racing line. And my aim just to get back to the pits. Okay? So, into the pits. I'm gonna sit there for quite a long time, taking lots of damage. Okay. Now, I am pretty much last. Now the problem with coming out this far back is I'm gonna get lots of blue flags now. So pretty much the entire grid is gonna pass me. At various points, lots is gonna be going on, and I'm just constantly gonna be getting blue flags for pretty much the world to pass me. But out of the racing line, lift off, let them pass. There's no point in fighting it. Except when somebody comes on you at the wrong place, you'll see that I'm indicating to say I'll let them by when I can. And then off we go. Okay, that's pretty much everyone past me now. So we are going to skip ahead to lap 7. I've settled into a rhythm, starting to do some good lap times. So I've now actually got an opportunity to potentially unlap myself from a couple of cars. To get him from him making a mistake. And same with this Porsche. It's kind of a little bit all over the place. but I did manage a relatively clean overtake, though a little bit on the grass. But I keep it in a straight line, managed to keep it all together, and that is pretty much again it. The rest of this race again ends up being relatively clean. P13 at the minute, middle of the last lap, still P13, but I actually crossed the line P11, and again, because I'm worried about running out of fuel, I actually overfueled for this race a little bit. Finished the line, finished the race, 4 laps of fuel on board. And managed to cross the line P11. So, from a week of daring the public lobbies, couple of things that I've really learned. One, as soon as you see anything kick off in front of you, or you get the race control radio message in your ear saying that there's slow cars ahead, yellow flags ahead, anything like that, lift off. And it's much better to lift off and, potentially, lose a place to somebody not lifting off, but there's a better chance that they will have an accident and you won't. So lift off, try and avoid, as opposed to trying to power through. Even if you do power through, there is potential to get penalties if you're in championship or league racing, where there's actually stewards and they're taking things a little bit more seriously than free-for-all public lobbies. Second thing, big thing that I learned, no matter what happens in lap 1, how badly it goes, how much damage you have, the fact that you've got a 2-minute pit stop because to repair all the damage that you've managed to pick up. Who cares? Keep going. Lots of people are going to have issues in front of you. Now, obviously, public lobbies, the experience of drivers in those public lobbies are just all over the place. There were some of these lobbies where, people were just laps and laps and laps ahead of me. But, there were also people that I was quicker than. No matter what happens, just keep going. You never know what's going to come to you later on in the race. Lots of people can have problems. They can fall off. They can get penalties, drive-thrus. They can even get disqualified. There was loads and loads and loads of places that I gained simply by staying on track, keeping out of people's way, and just letting the race come to me. So hopefully that will put me in a relatively better position for my race on Monday. So Monday, race 2 of More Female Racers Championship, hosted by the Sim Grid, sponsored by Thrustmaster Rockets. We're at Monza, hence why all of the public lobby practice I was doing this week is at Monza. My pace is pretty good. We've got strategies all worked out. Let's see if all of that practice in the public lobbies does me some good, and it's got me just a little bit more accustomed to the unpredictability of fellow human beings. So that's it for today. Nice and relatively short, half hour. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're on Twitch, be sure to log in and follow my race live. We'll start streaming at about 7 o'clock British summer time for race 2. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on. And I'll be uploading the race results couple of days after the race next week. So, see you all then. Thank you very much for watching, and drive safe.